Most of us will know some of classical music's all-time hits, like The Waltz of the Flowers from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, or Nessun Dorma from Puccini's Turandot. Bits of music like these are often so beautiful, powerful, or moving that they are frequently performed. These snippets of music all belong to much larger works of art, but most of us don't care. We're happy to listen to them independently of the original, grander work. The trouble is, when we listen to just the excerpts, we're in great danger of missing the point entirely. Let me explain. It might help to think of opera and ballet music as an equivalent to modern-day soundtracks or film scores. Just as film soundtracks must complement the action on screen, ballet and opera music must complement what is happening on stage. The music needs to help tell the story which the dancers or singers are enacting. This means that the music at any given point should 1. Have some connection to what is happening on stage, 2. Have a place in the context of the story as a whole, and 3. Must effectively assist in telling that story. So, when we apply these rules to our favourite excerpts from ballet and opera, we may find that these excerpts often have a bigger role to play. So I'm going to look at some of the most famous pieces and arias in classical music and show you how you may have missed the point entirely. By the way, if you want to discover more masterpieces of music and learn how to listen to classical music, then I will tell you exactly how to do that at the end of this video. First off, a well-known aria, La Donna Immobile, from the opera Rigoletto by Giuseppe Verdi. Lots of you will have heard this incredibly catchy tune, and you might know that this is a womanizing duke singing his thoughts on the fickleness of women. But there is more to this aria than meets the eye. Verdi uses this theme later in the opera to make a powerful statement. The first time the Duke sings this theme, a young woman named Gilda is listening. She loves the Duke, but he has mistreated her. Later on, after several dramatic turns, Gilda lies dying in her father's arms, having given her life for the Duke's. At this point, the Duke, who is unaware that his life was in danger, can be heard singing a reprise of La Donna Immobile, Woman is Fickle, while the woman he mistreated is dying in his place. Verdi has masterfully used this theme to highlight the Duke's inconstancy and Gilda's contrasting faithfulness. Listening to the full opera and seeing how the fickleness theme is used later is so much more rewarding than just listening to the aria in its earlier, more well-known setting. Another well-known operatic concert piece is the Temple Duet from The Pearl Fishers by Georges Bizet. Sung early in the opera by two friends, Nadia and Zunga, the duet is about a priestess named Layla, whom they have both loved, and how their friendship has overcome the threat of this mutual affection. Now, this main theme is important. Although this is the first time you hear it, it will occur throughout the entire opera. If you were to listen to just the duet, it would be easy to interpret this melody as symbolizing the strength of the men's friendship. However, when you listen further, you see that it actually represents something quite different. Very soon, Layla herself arrives, testing the two men's promises of friendship. When she first appears, nobody knows it's her, but the orchestra softly plays the Temple Duet theme. Later, Layla recognizes Nadia, whom she loves, and the theme plays tremblingly, reflecting her emotions. At another point, Layla pleads with Zunga for Nadia's life. Yes, it gets that bad. And the theme plays as she enters, and Zunga's love for her is rekindled. In fact, whenever this theme appears, it is always during an interaction between Layla and one of the two men. Finally, right at the end, Zunga sacrifices his love and saves Nadir and Layla's lives. The theme is sung one final time by Nadir and Layla, while Zunga watches and cries adieu. So we see that the Temple Duet does not represent Nadir and Zunga's friendship, but is rather a leitmotif for this complicated love triangle introduced in the original duet. As such, all the following renditions of the theme, in fact, the whole rest of the story, stems from that first duet. If you were to listen to only the duet, you would fall into danger of misunderstanding the implications of this theme and what Bizet intended for it. Leitmotifs like the one in Bizet's opera can also be found in well-known excerpts from ballets, like this one from Sergei Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet. People everywhere will be familiar with this theme, the Dance of the Knights. In the ballet, this plays during a ball while the Capulet knights dance. But this is not the first time in the ballet that this theme appears. It's actually introduced earlier in the story when the rival families, the Capulets and Montagues, fight in the streets. As the story progresses, Prokofiev uses this theme to represent the animosity and tension between the two families. For example, when Tybalt finds Romeo at the ball and wants to run him through, the theme plays aggressively. Later, before the fight which ultimately leads to Romeo being banished, segments of the theme play as Tybalt and Mercutio provoke each other. Prokofiev also uses it more subtly in some places. For example, listen to this second section of the Dance of the Knights, which contains a melody built off the notes introduced in the first section. The second section theme is played while Juliet dances with her would-be suitor Paris, indicating the tension that she will experience between Paris, who her parents want her to marry, and Romeo, who she loves. This is of course another form of Montague-Capulet rivalry. It appears later again when she pretends to accept Paris's hand in marriage, hinting at the conflict between the two families and the torment that Juliet feels. This conflict theme appears through the whole ballet until Juliet feigns her own death, which is the beginning of the end of the rivalry. As one final example, let's look at a well-known theme from the ultimate ballet, Swan Lake. This work by Tchaikovsky has some very well-known excerpts, including this beautiful theme. As with the Dance of the Knights, this theme acts as a leitmotif, representing a sorcerer and a spell that he has cast on a group of young maidens which turns them into swans during the day. The theme also represents the maidens themselves. However, this leitmotif also serves another purpose by highlighting the action of the plotline. Because ballets obviously involve dancing, they include segments during which the story doesn't really go anywhere, but where a variety of different dances are performed. So, in Swan Lake, much of the music is actually written for various dances which don't necessarily move the plotline forwards. Now, this theme represents a central conflict of the story, the Swan Maidens and the spell they are under. So, whenever the story moves forwards, this conflict is often involved, and consequently, this theme is also present. For example, it first appears when the hero of the story, Prince Siegfried, is about to leave on a hunt, foreshadowing his meeting with the Swan Princess, Odette, with whom he falls in love. Throughout the ballet, whenever the plot moves forwards, this leitmotif is present, right up to the end, when Odette lies dying in Siegfried's arms. Wherever the action is, Tchaikovsky will underline it with this theme. Something else the theme does is contrast the weightiness of the plot with the relative lightheartedness of the dances. The main theme elevates these dances emotionally and dramatically, highlighting the important moments of the action on stage over and above the dancing. Listening to entire ballets or operas provides that extra bit of context which deepens our understanding and appreciation of our favorite moments. It also creates a climax to certain moments which we will miss if we just listen to a specific aria or dance. Listening to only one segment is a bit like listening to a magnificent final chord of a symphony without listening to the crescendo which led up to it, or reading an exciting chapter of a book without knowing the rest of the story. But on top of that, when you listen to full operas or ballets, you will find beautiful melodies and moments that aren't well known, as they're never performed independently as concert pieces. We find ourselves in grave danger of missing out on so much by listening only to excerpts. There's a whole world of musical brilliance and beauty just waiting to be discovered. Speaking of which, maybe you do want to discover more classical music, but you don't know where to start. Classical music can make us feel, sometimes to the limits, and it's capable of expressing so much. If you haven't experienced this yet, then it's not your fault. Most people simply aren't taught how to listen. But I truly believe that you can be taught how to listen, how to really feel what the music is expressing, and how to follow what is going on. That's where 14 Pieces comes in. This video course will introduce you to 14 masterpieces of music, but more than that, it will teach you how to listen. Each piece has been carefully chosen not only to introduce you to an incredible piece of music, but to teach you core principles and key ideas, which will come up again and again in pretty much all of classical music. So you can really feel what this music is expressing and follow what's going on. By the end of this course, you'll feel comfortable and confident about what classical music has to offer, how it all works, and how emotionally expressive and powerful it can be. So don't miss out on this amazing, deep emotional journey any longer. Click the link below to take the next steps in your classical journey.